It is almost, it's time. So I want to just begin by saying how nice it is to be here. I feel like it's a big deal. So for those who are here in person with us, I'd like to invite you to rise and say Shehechianu with me. Thanking God for allowing us to reach this day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Thank you, God. And for those who are with us on Facebook Live, we're also so glad to have you here. And we will begin our service tonight. Wow, I'm just going to spend the night looking at people's real faces. We're going to begin our service tonight with Kabbalat Shabbat, and of course, that gives us the opportunity to exhale. It's been a week. So let's try to just start our Kabbalat Shabbat by exhaling anything that you don't want to hold onto, anything that's in your mind, in your body, in your spirit, your soul. You just need to let go of and allow it to leave for Shabbat so that you can have some peace and rest, rejuvenation. Inhaling, exhaling, and here comes Shabbat. Yedid Nefesh.
Yedid Nefesh. Avarachman. Mishah.
We turn now to page 22 for Lechuna Ranana, which is let us sing out to God. Let us draw near to God with closeness, with gratitude. Let us all worship God together. As we turn to page 24 for Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, to sing a new song out to God, let's take a moment and just think about a few things that we feel particularly grateful for this week. What do we want to express thanks to God for? Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Vaseru v'yoleyo, Yeshuato, Tzatu l'goyim kevoto, B'chol ha'amim nifleotav, Ki gadol Adonai, U'ulam me'od, Norahu, Al kol Elohim, ay, 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 elai, 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 We continue on page 26, the bottom of the page, Or Zarua, Latzadik. Or Zarua Latzadik shares that light is sown for the righteous. It's an interesting question. Who are the righteous people in your lives, in your world? Who comes to mind when we speak of a righteous one?
Or Zarua Latzadik, Uleishrei Lev Simcha. 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 Yedirai, 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 yadirai, yadirai, yedirai, 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 yadirai, yadirai, yedirai, 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 yadirai, yedirai, yadirai, yadirai. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho.
Page 28, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Sing out a new song.
Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'kol zimra. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor, v'kol zimra. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor,
Continuing on page 30.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu le'har kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu le'har kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Page 34, Mizmor LeDavid.
Yalai, yalai, lai, yalalai, yalai. Yalai, lalai, lai, lalalai. Yalai, yalai, lai, yalalai, yalai. Yalai, lalai, lai, yalalai. Mizmor LeDavid. Avul Adonai b'nei Eli. Avul Adonai. Kavod va'oz. Avul Adonai kevod shemo. Avul Adonai adrat kodesh. Kol Adonai alamayim. El hakavod irim. Adonai alamayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach. Kol Adonai ve'hadar. Kol Adonai shover arazim. Vayshaver Adonai et arvei ha'levanon. Vayarchitein k'mo egel Levanon. Ve'Zion k'mo v'eireim. Kol Adonai kotzev la'avodim. Kol Adonai yachil midbar. Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh. Kol Adonai yeholel hayalot. Vayecheso ye'aron u'peikalot. Zomer kavod Adonai la'mavu yashav. Vayishev Adonai melech le'olam. Adonai oz le'amo yitein. Adonai yevarech la'mo b'shalom. Haydi vay, haray, haray. Haydi vay, haray. Haydi vay, haray, haray. Haray, haray, haray.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat is here, and that feels good. So we are going to pause at this time to remember those of our beloved departed whose yahrzeits are observed today, the 19th day of Shabbat. We are going to pause right there, find a different list, and instead Turn to page 38 for Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad Kishmianu elam yuchad Adonai echad U'shmo echad L'shem multiferet ve'litila Lecha Dodi likrat kala Lecha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat nekabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha Tihi mekor havaracha Meirosh mikadam nesucha Sof ma'aseh v'machshava tehila Lecha Dodi likrat kala Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabla. Titash melech ir melucha Kunitzei mitoch apecha Rav lach shevet v'mekapacha Vehu yachamol alayich emlo Lecha Dodi likrat kala Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabla. Itna'ari me'afar kumi Livshi bigdei tifartecha mi Al yad ben Yishai v'talachmi Korba el nafshi Ge'ala Lecha Dodi likrat kala Lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabla.
We turn to page 40 and we rise as we face the entrance. Welcoming back to our community those who have been in mourning over the past week, and also bringing back those who want to come to our community for Shabbat, welcoming in the Shabbat Queen.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola Toch emunei am segula Boi chala o lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabla. O lecha Dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabla. Penei Shabbat b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
I'd like to invite everyone to remain standing as we acknowledge those of our community members who have been bereaved over the past week. To the family of the late Michael Bluestein, to the family of the late Sonny Bernard Davis, to the family of the late Edward Friedman and the family of the late Edward Eddie Lichtenberg. We turn to page 41 as we extend our condolences to those who have lost loved ones. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One who comforts Israel grant you solace in your bereavement. Everyone may be seated. I'd like to acknowledge those in our community who have yard sites observed on this day, the 10th day of Adar. Harold Julius Coven, Samuel Sonny Finkelstein, Arnold Shaftel, and Freddie Weinberg. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may their memories always be a blessing. And will those people who are in a period of mourning or observing a yard site please join me in the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 124. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'yimaru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam ol me'ol maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrmam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran b'alma v'yimaru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru, Amen. May your loved ones' memories be a blessing always. We turn now back in our prayers and we rise, turning to page 50 for the Barchu.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
And we are seated. Continuing on page 51 with a responsive reading, and I'd love to invite Patty Friedman to come forward and to lead us from the center microphone, please, Patty.
Down here. Patty, down here.
Patty, I think we all just need to get used to the new setting. No worries at all. Beautiful. Page 51. The top of the page.
Whose word brings on the dusk of evening.
Opens the gates of dawn. Your understanding regulates time and seasons.
The stars above follow their appointed rounds in response to your divine will.
You create day and night. You alternate darkness and light.
You remove the day and bring on the night. You separate one from the other.
We call you Lord of heavenly hosts, for you are our living God.
May you rule over us as you rule over nature. Praised are you, O Lord, who brings the evening dusk.
Amen. Thank you, Patty.
Umavir yom umevi laila תמיר ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, שופטנו וקומנו, נצליח בחייך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We're seated and continue on page 56. And we join together in the middle of page 57. Therefore, keep these words of mine in your heart and in your soul. Bind them as a sign upon your arm, and let them be a reminder above your eyes. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down at night and when you rise up in the morning. Write them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Thus your days and the days of your children will be multiplied on the land, which the Lord promised to your ancestors, for as long as the heavens remain over the earth. Page 58.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר. Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Turning to the middle of page 60, Mi Chamocha, the very words that our ancestors sing when they were about to cross over the sea. Sometimes I feel like Mi Chamocha is the song that we sing out when we feel like something miraculous has happened. I don't know about you, but I feel like tonight this feels like a little bit of that.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מכמוך באלים אדוני מכמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה נורא תהילות Moshe, Adonai Yaakov, Ugalomi Ad Chazak Mimenu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ga Yisrael.
Amen. Michael Dopkin, I'm hoping you can come forward and lead us on page 63 in a responsive reading that is actually responsive.
Help us, O God, to lie down in peace and awaken us to life on the morrow.
May we always be guided by your good counsel and thus find shelter in your tabernacle of peace.
Shield us, we pray, against our foes, against disease, destruction, and sorrow.
Strengthen us against the forces of evil which abound on every side.
May we always sense your loving care, for you are our merciful God and sovereign.
Guard us always and everywhere. Bless us with life and peace.
Praise to you, O God of peace, whose love is always with us.
Who shelters your people Israel and protects Jerusalem in love.
Ushmar tzeitzenu l'chaim u'l'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufros aleinu sukat shelomecha Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Page 64.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'dorotam b'rit olam beini u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam beini u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz u'bayom ha'sheni Shabbat vayinafash Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah
Amen.
Yamad yivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei L'chayechon v'yom echon u'chayedechon beit Yisrael Bagalau v'zman kariv ve'imeru amen Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam le'am le'amaya Yitbarach ve'yishtabach V'yitba'ar v'yitromam ve'yitnaseh V'yithadar ve'yithalel ve'yithalal Shemei dekudesha berichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tudrikata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma ve'imeru amen.
We rise and we turn to page 69 for the Amidah, which is recited quietly in the evenings. Page 69 through page 76. Quiet prayer. to page 80 for Vayechulu.
ויכולו השמיים והארץ, ויכול צבאם, ויכול אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
Turning to page 82, Magen Avot.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Koneh Shamayim va'aretz, Magen Avot bidvaro, Mechayei eitzim b'ma'amaro, Ha'el Hakadosh she'ein kamohu, Hameniach le'amo b'yom Shabbat kodsho, Yivam ratza le'aniach lahem, Yivam ratza le'aniach lahem, לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד, מעין הברכות. אל ההודעות, אדון השלום, מקדש השבת וברך שביעי, ומניח בקדושה, והמקדוש שני עונג, זכר למעשה וראשית.
Continuing on page 86.
יתקרא ויתקרא שמי רבה, ועמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובימיכון ובחייכו בישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה ברכו. לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן ועלמה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותון ובטחון לכל ישראל קודם ובהונדי ושמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב מן שמיה וחיים עלינו על כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו Amen.
Would the president honor us with Kiddush? If you would like to. David, would you like to lead us in Kiddush?
We rise, turning to page 90. Page 90. And I have to share for anyone, just to acknowledge what was present for me a little bit ago. We said the Shema tonight, and I don't know if you noticed this, but it was this beautiful blending of all of our voices. So for Kiddush, page 90, let's all join together. There's something very special about hearing multiple voices in this moment of time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'avahu v'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol amim, v'shava al kodshecha, ve'ava uvratzon, hinchatanu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Amen.
Everyone may be seated. I was watching the Today Show this morning for a couple of minutes and happened to turn on when Shaun White was being interviewed. I don't know if anyone else caught the interview or watched last night's competition, but the interview actually was sort of bittersweet for me. It also sort of allowed me, I think, just a moment to use my imagination and to think about not necessarily what he had accomplished, in this Olympics, but really throughout his career, what he's accomplished and the people that he has inspired in his sport. And also just the idea of how much it takes to be an Olympian. One of the things that he said during his interview was that he wanted to thank his parents for waking up, I can imagine, in the middle of the night to drive him every day so that he could practice. And I think in many ways, the reason that this resonated with me was, one, I'm a mom and I do carpool every once in a while, and it is sometimes a lot. But I think even more so, it was just this idea of what it means to practice, like to really practice each and every day, to do some ritual that no matter what's happening around you, you stick to it. You stick to it. So there was a book that was written a little while ago. It was written by Mason Curry, and the name of the book was Daily Rituals: How Great Minds Make Time, Find Inspiration, and Get to Work. So the book was filled with 150 different extraordinary people, really. And what it actually came to fill the pages with is each person's story, and the point was that all of these extraordinarily accomplished people have rituals in their lives. So I want to share with you just a couple, and you'll see why soon. So as it turns out, Beethoven used to get up each morning at dawn and make himself a cup of coffee. He was, and I quote, fastidious about this. Each cup had exactly 60 beans, and he counted them out one at a time. He would then sit at his desk and he would compose until 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then he would go for a long walk, and he would take with him on that long walk a pencil and some sheets of music paper so that anything that came up in his mind, any ideas that he had as he was walking, he would write it down. And then every night at dinner time, he would have a beer, smoke a pipe, and go to bed early. 10 o'clock was his latest bedtime. I want to move on to Immanuel Kant. Kant, of course, a brilliant philosopher. He was famous for his routine also. He would get up, drink coffee, write, give lectures, eat, take a walk. Everything had its exact time, and the neighbors knew that exactly 3:30 in the afternoon was when he would step outside of his door wearing his great coat with a Spanish stick in his hands. Another author, actually, who worked for the post office, woke up every day at 5 o'clock. At 5:30 in the morning, he would be sitting at his desk, and then he would write for exactly 3 hours, from 5:30 in the morning until 8:30 in the morning. And it was in this way that he produced 250 words exactly each quarter hour, writing 47 novels, as well as 16 other books. He finished a novel before the day's 3 hours were over. And then he would immediately take a fresh piece of paper and begin the next one. All of these 150 creative minds had a regimen in their lives. So the interesting question for us is, do we? Now, one of my favorite passages in the Aggadic literature actually is a really, really interesting passage. The rabbis are trying to figure out in the Gemara, what is the most important principle in Judaism? And they have all different kinds of ideas. So if I asked you what the most important principle in Judaism is, you probably could come up with some fun things. Any ideas percolating in the mind? Yeah, exactly, Michael. Love your neighbor as yourself. What other central principles? What else comes to mind? Yeah, you should love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all of your might. Beautiful. Anyone else have anything else? Well, I'm going to share. The 5 different ideas that were put forth in the competition to find the most important passage in the Torah, one of them was given by Ben Azai, and that was from Genesis, right? On the day that God created human beings in God's likeness, right? On the days of creation, that's when God created human beings. That, according to Ben Azai, was the most important principle in the Torah. But then Ben Zoma comes along and he says, nope, it's Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. It's the Shema. It's God. It's God's oneness, right? But then someone else comes along and he says, actually, as Michael said, Michael, you're in the company of Ben Nanas. And he said, it's actually love your neighbor as yourself. But then we have another person coming along, Ben Pazi. Probably never heard of him. But what he offers is this. He says that the most important principle in the entire Torah is 1 sheep shall be offered in the morning, and a 2nd sheep shall be offered in the afternoon. That probably wouldn't have made it onto anyone's list. Why does he say that? Why do you think 1 sheep shall be offered in the morning and a 2nd sheep shall be offered in the afternoon? Why would Ben Pazi suggest that this was the most important principle in the Torah? In many ways, it gets to the idea of Shaun White, of the great, extraordinary creators that were listed in the book. Because the truth is that great things happen bit by bit, day by day, morning by morning, and night by night. It's about bringing 1 sheep at a time, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. And sometimes, oftentimes, it's only through that practice, the ritual, the showing up and doing it again and again and again, that we start to not only achieve greatness, but that something holy occurs. In the Torah portion that we read this week, Parshat Tetzaveh, the details are actually not so exciting. You can read it hopefully over the course of Shabbat. But the details are really about the clothing that the people used to wear in our holy spaces. It's about the light, the Ner Tamid that used to burn in the holy places. It's about Aaron and his leadership, but there's no narrative. There's nothing particularly fascinating about it. But what I love about it is that sometimes the sacred stuff happens in the small, unexpected moments when you just show up and expect nothing special might happen. And sometimes it's then when you're surprised and you can feel God's presence and you can feel someone else's closeness. And you know that even though nothing extraordinary happened, that your showing up mattered, and that everything's going to be okay. So this Shabbat, I want to wish for everyone, not extraordinary things, but that ordinary things can feel special. And maybe we'll even think about new routines in our lives. Small details, one sheep at a time, one practice at a time, 60 beans of coffee at a time. It's all it takes. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to turn back to prayer, turning to page 118 and rising for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום בהשיבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינו. על כן נקרא לך אדוני. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We pause at this time to remember with reverence the yahrzeits of our beloved departed that are observed tonight, the 11th day of Adar until tomorrow night. Thomas Garfinkel, Israel Mendelson, Herman Joseph Miller, Joseph Obstler, Rose M. Reamer, Sarah H. Resnick, Jonas J. Schlein, Natalie Weil, and Dorothy S. Wolfson. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may their memories forever be a blessing in our world and in our lives. And for those people who are in a period of mourning or observing a yahrzeit, please join me in the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 124. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimaru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemeda kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran v'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'romav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'yimaru. Amen. May your loved one's memory always be a blessing. We turn in just a moment to Shalom Alechem, which can be found on page 16. But before we do, quick announcements. Tomorrow morning services are at 10 o'clock here in the Berman Rubin Sanctuary. Tomorrow evening services will be on live stream at 5:30. Tomorrow morning, we will be having a Parsha class at 9 a.m. And while I think that we are talking about moving back into the Agus library, that will not be happening just yet. So please continue to use Zoom for our morning Parsha class. Sunday morning services are at 9:15, Sunday evening services at 5:30, and thank you to Cantor Blatt for being my partner tonight, and thank you to everyone who is here in the sanctuary and with us on Facebook Live. It is really nice to be together. We are going to conclude our service, page 16, Shalom Alechem.
Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Boachem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sim l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitzchem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 tzeitzchem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.